Aluminum Company of America, the nation's leading producer of aluminum, presents that exciting new headline game, It's News to Me. This man made news this week when he was given the words. Do you know the story? Do you know why this tricycle carried an extra passenger this week? The man who wore these medals this week also took the cake. Do you know how? Here to tangle with these questions and many more are Quentin Reynolds, famous author, commentator, and editor of United Nations World. Martha Scott, star of the current hit Male Animal. Mel Allen, one of America's best-known sportscasters and the voice of the New York Yankees. Our own delightful Anna Lee. And your host of It's News to Me, news correspondent and commentator, John Daly.
Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to It's News to Me. Tonight, once again, we're going to watch our panel answer news questions when they can, make up answers when they have to. And our experts will play against contestants chosen from our studio. So may we have our first studio contestant, please? Let's see, this is Mr. Dick Deers. Where are you from, Mr. Deers?
Oklahoma City, sir.
Come on in a bit closer, will you? Oklahoma City.
That's right.
Well, fine. What brings you to New York?
Business?
You like the heat, too, I dare say. Gets hotter than this out in Oklahoma City, doesn't it?
Yes, but not the humidity.
No humidity. Well, it's always the heat, not the humidity. Well, you seem to have very ready answers for the questions about the weather. I trust that you'll do as well with the news. You've got a pretty tough job to do. Your job is to judge the answers that the panel give to questions related to the news that I ask of them. You've got to decide whether the answer is right or wrong. Our experts will answer correctly if they can, but you want to watch out, because if they cannot, they'll make up an answer and try to fool you. That's a little matter of $20 here with which you play the game.
Very much appreciated.
Now, from this point on, every time your judgment is correct, I'll give you another $5. And every time it's incorrect, I can take $5 away from you. Is that all right?
Bad.
Yes, that's bad. I thought so, too. You all ready for your first question?
Yes, sir.
All right, for this first question, take a look at our screen. This man was the object of a frantic chase this week when it was discovered that he knew the boss's secret. Do you know that story? Mel Allen.
Well, John, that story, the thing that made the headlines there was the Republican nominee for the presidency of the United States decided that the humidity about which you spoke a little bit ago was a little too rough in Chicago, and he wanted to go away for a little vacation and rest up a little bit before campaigning for the presidency. And so he set out to join a friend of his at his friend's hideaway or retreat, or ranch, I believe it was, out in the wilderness somewhere in Colorado. He announced his plans, and when he had arrived there, he wanted to really be quiet and alone for a while with the fellow. His friend's name was Nielsen. And the reporters got wind of it. Instead of the Republican presidential nominee having it quiet and peaceful, here were all these reporters at Mr. Nielsen's place, anticipating that. They ducked off somewhere else, and so they all asked Mr. Nielsen where, or at least they were trying to find the boss to find out where General Eisenhower was. I think that's the reference there. That's the gentleman's picture.
Do you accept that answer, Mr. Deers?
I'll probably lose $5. I thought this fellow was Gavin.
Don't say any more. You are $5 richer already. Now, Mel gets E for effort. That's right. That is Thomas J. Gavin of Kansas City, Missouri, who's going to cast President Truman's vote at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago this week. The newsmen, first of all, chased them all around Washington, trying to find out what the president had in mind after he'd had a session with the president of the White House. And now some of my colleagues in Chicago are trying to lay their hands on him, too, because you can't get the answers to anything at this Democratic convention. All right, let's see what we can do with the second question. And for this one, let's watch and listen to the official reprimand in this next little scene.
All right. You were caught trying to escape. And it's up to me to give you punishment as an example to the others. No, it won't be a session on bread and water. That's too easy. No, it won't be solitary confinement. It'll be worse than that. you will lose your most cherished privilege. No, don't plead with me. Don't beg me. For 1 solid month, no raw fish.
And from these cruel and punishing words, can you tell us the story, Martha Scott?
Oh, that's a wonderful story. That's about 6 polar bears who wanted to dig their way to freedom. They dug, one of the polar bears dug a tunnel was starting a long, long tunnel to get to the sidewalk, and his 5 friends stood on lookout.
You accept this answer, Mr. Dears?
Easy.
You do? Yes. Mm-hmm. You're a rough man. That makes you $5. Very good. Very good, Miss Martha. 6 polar bears at the Highland Park Zoo in Pittsburgh did indeed dig a tunnel. They wanted to get out. They were supposed to be happy residents of the zoo, but they weren't. They were digging a tunnel, and they'd completed 10 feet of the tunnel. Isn't that wonderful? Well, question number 3, the band played long and loud for Harry last week, but he gave the credit to the Queen. Can you tell us that story, Quentin Reynolds?
Yes, that was just before he went to the hospital. There was a detachment of the Scottish Highlanders at the White House where they serenaded him with their bagpipes and thanked him for all the good work he'd done toward furthering Anglo-American relations. And the President said very graciously that on her visit here last year, Queen Elizabeth did more for Anglo-American relations than the prime ministers and presidents and diplomats of the past 100 years had ever done.
Do you accept that answer, Mr.
Very
Dears?
good answer.
It's a very good one. It's going to cost you $5.
There's a new newlywed couple coming to Buzzer. Bob Eubanks and now Gary Kroger. All week starting at 3 and 8 on Buzzer. Let's play.
Oh, this Reynolds is a rough boy. You got to watch him. He's a real bad man. Anybody have any idea what that might be? The new Queen of the Seas, the SS United States, won the coveted Blue Ribbon transatlantic speed trophy when she established new speed records for both the east and westbound crossings. Commodore Harry Manning was in the command of this magnificent new American liner. He brought back the Blue Ribbon for the first time in 100 years, and we're mighty proud to have with us tonight Commodore Manning. He's going to tell us something about these great voyages. Will you come out, please? Commodore, how did it feel to take these here blue ribbons?
Well, I have a sort of a mingled emotion about it. One, of course, is great pride that I brought it back to our country. Secondly, I have a little feeling of regret that I had to take it away from our gallant friends, particularly the Queen Mary, the good ship of the Cunard Line. And I hope, of course, if there's ever another ribbon to be taken, it'll be by the Queen Mary.
That's a very generous statement, sir. Now, suppose you tell, I know a lot of our people want to know, and I'm not too certain that I know myself, is there actually a blue ribbon that you get on these crossings?
No, there is not. It's a mythical thing, but we try to drum up a ribbon on a ship. You take a blue petticoat or something like that, and cut it up and put it on the mast.
But what is the mark of the record breaking? Do you get a mark of any kind?
Yes, there is a trophy, which now is in England. Whether we bring that back to this country, I don't know yet. That's being discussed.
Well, I know that you took that great big liner, some 42 miles per hour, I believe, translating it from knots into land miles.
Without getting a ticket.
Without getting a ticket. No cops out where you were. Wish I'd had that kind of secret to use myself.
Well, I began looking back.
You did. What were you looking for? The Queen coming up in your trail, perhaps? Well, I know you did make her go 42 miles an hour, and of course the Queen Mary's in dry dock now, and I just wondered, I know you can't give away any state secrets, but suppose the Queen Mary were to cut your time a bit, do you suppose that we could go snatch it back again?
No, we'd try again. I'm sure we could.
We would. It must give you a great sense of personal satisfaction to have such a fine honor, that is, to bring back to this country the blue ribbons for the Atlantic crossing.
Yes, of course. But I just want to point out that I alone cannot do it. There's the engine room department, there's the deck department, the navigator, the chief engineer, the watch officers, And right down the line to the lowest mess boy, everybody plays their little part to contribute toward the whole. And I don't want to be praised and complimented too much my own personal part of the thing, but the others too must have credit for the achievement.
That's a very generous statement again, sir. Congratulations for a fine captain and a fine ship. Good night, Mr. Cruz. That probably is the best thing I've heard in a long time. You know, I like that business. If you get out there and go 42 miles an hour and don't have to worry at all about speed tickets. Well, let's get on to the next question. Can't do anything about it. And for the next question, I'd like all of you, if you will, to take a look at the flag that you see over there. This banner is the only one of its kind in the United States, and because it's on its news to me tonight, it will arrive late at the scene of combat. Can you tell us the story of this flag, Anna Lee?
5 rings. Well, Mr. Dears, that looks to me like the official flag of the Olympic Games, and they opened the 15th Olympiad yesterday at Helsinki, and I think this is the flag.
Would you accept that answer, Mr. Dears? You do accept that answer. You're a tough man. That makes you $5 retro. Anna Lee is absolutely right. That is the official flag of the Olympic Games, which opened at Helsinki, Finland on July 19th. It's the only official Olympic flag in the United States. It was flown here to its news to me by Scandinavian Airlines System, and it's going to be flown right back to Finland after the program by the Scandinavian Airlines System. This year's Olympics Games, by the way, hold particular interest because it's the first time that the world's athletes are going to compete against those of the Soviet Union. Well, a look at our scoring tells us that you've won from the Aluminum Company of America $30. It's also been nice to have you as our guest. Good night, sir. And now, if you would like to see its news to me in person and perhaps be on the program as a contestant, write for tickets to its News to Me, CBS, 485 Madison Avenue, New York 22, New York. And now, if you look again up at the screen, you'll see a picture of a package of lifesavers. There's a special story behind these. Ray Morgan, will you tell us about it?
I certainly will, John. Lifesavers are in the news because no matter where or when you buy them, they're always fresh. And the reason for this freshness is Alcoa's aluminum foil. For 25 years, a single brand of aluminum foil. Alcoa's aluminum foil has given lifesavers sparkle plus locked-in flavor and freshness. And for 25 years, these familiar candies with the hole in the center have tasted better because they've been wrapped exclusively in Alcoa's bright aluminum foil. Pure food-friendly aluminum foil protects the butter and milk, the cigarettes and candy, the dozens of products that you buy every day. Sparkling Alcoa aluminum foil preserves foods, keeps in flavor and freshness, keeps out all other food flavors and odors. It withstands heat, cold, and time. Today, for your protection, more and more products are being wrapped in easy-to-form and easy-to-fold Alcoa aluminum foil. And manufacturers of packaged products who wish to improve their packages, make them look more attractive, and make what's inside taste better and keep better, can get help in using Alcoa foil by calling their local Alcoa sales office. Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America.
Now we come back again to playing It's News to Me. We have a pretty good record so far tonight, panel. I just trust that you can keep going. You've only messed up one so far. Let's see what we can do, and let's have our next studio representative on It's News to Me. This is Virginia Mulrine, is it?
Mulrine.
Mulrine. Miss?
Mrs.
Mrs. Where are you from, Mrs. Mulrine?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, yes. You know how to play the game. You heard me explain the rules.
I heard the rules.
There are the $20. You all ready for your first question?
I hope so.
Well, a little while ago, the members of the panel had a chance to examine these medals. Now, you get a look at them, you see? They're nice? Mm-hmm. Well, the man who wears them was given an unusual present in Rochester, New York this week, and was serenaded with Old Soldiers Never Die. Do you know the story, Quint Reynolds?
Yes, I was at a dinner given to General MacArthur by Frank Gannett, the owner of the Gannett string of papers, one of which is in Rochester. He was given those medals, but a more touching present. He was given every recording ever made of his theme song, Old Soldiers Never Die.
Do you accept that answer, Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
You do? Awful sorry. I heard all over it when I have to do that. No, actually, it was a very tough question. Anybody any idea when these might come?
Wasn't the last of the Civil War old gentleman who celebrated his 111th birthday, was it?
Absolutely right, Emily.
It was?
Yes, it was. The medals belong to the nation's oldest soldier, Civil War veteran James A. Hart of Rochester, New York, and he celebrated his 111th birthday on July the 15th. Right. Isn't that wonderful? He was expecting a birthday present of 1,000 cigars, and he's got only one fault to find with the world today, and he's got to cut down smoking. Got to only have 4 cigars a day at 111 years of age. Wow. All right, now for our newsman's question of the week, and this one is from Dwight Newton of the San Francisco Examiner. Take a look at our screen, if you will. This man found reason to smile this week when he got some good news from a rich uncle. Can you tell us about it, Martha Scott?
Well, I should think he should smile. He is the Aga Khan's nephew, and he will inherit the Aga's titles and fortune because Ali, when he married Rita, violated a Muslim law, and by Rita's not becoming a Muslim, you see, so that Ali loses the whole thing.
Do you accept that answer, Mrs. Mulrine?
Yes, I do.
Oh, do wish you hadn't.
Looks like he was related to him. That's the only reason.
He does. As a matter of fact, that's why we've got that picture there. 'Cause
That's
he
what I
does
was
look
afraid
like
of.
It's Yugoslav dictator Marshal Tito. And the uncle, rich uncle, was Uncle Sam. This week they decided that he should have some heavier armament. We're going to give him some artillery and jet planes because, as
I've
you
never seen Tito without a lot of uniforms.
That's a new hat, yes. We didn't buy him the hat, though. We just got the picture. Well, let's see what we can do with another question. You still got 2 questions. You got nothing to worry about.
Money.
All right, for this next question, let's watch and listen to Frank Wayne as a delegate to the Chicago Convention.
Mr. Chairman, I demand to be heard. My name is Humphrey G. Swiggendrab, and I am a delegate from Afabova. And I have this to say, sir, that the very air we breathe is tainted. Yes, sir, I rise up here to say that the temperature in this convention hall is not only insufferable, it's unconstitutional. I repeat, it's unconstitutional. I, by my hand thermometer, it is now 78 degrees where I sit, and I say that this meeting should be adjourned until it reaches 110.
And the Right Honorable Delegate from Afro-Bruna has made his position very clear. Can you tell us what the story is, Mel Allen?
That story is about in the recent convention in Chicago, in the amphitheater in the Stockyard district where they had their convention. The amphitheater was air-conditioned. However, there was a law against it because of some problem involved as to the people that put it in, that instituted it. And the Republicans went on anyway and decided they were going to have the air conditioning because of the great humidity. Then the Democrats came along and decided they weren't going to have it at their convention coming up this week. And finally it was decided that though they wouldn't give it official approval, yet they weren't going to turn it off. They're going to still leave the air conditioning on.
You accept that answer, Mrs. Mulrine?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, that one's got so much truth in it and so much untruth in it, I'm just going to say you're right. You're fine. No Solomon me, that's a cinch. Actually, Mel's got a lot of it right. They did put air conditioning in for the Republican convention. And in this intervening week between the Republican and the Democratic convention, they found out that it was put in illegally because the National Production Authority did not issue the necessary authorities for the steel and other materials that went into the building of the air conditioning. But they're not going to take it out, and the Democrats are going to have it there because the government agency is going to let the cooling system go on. In fact, they don't quite know what to do about it. It's all been built in. All right?
The weather's like it is here. They should leave it in.
They will, I hope, because I won't go back to Chicago tonight if they don't. All right? For our next question, let's take a look at that little tricycle over there. This vehicle made picture news all over the country this week when its owner permitted a friend to sneak a ride. Do you know the story? Anna Lee.
Yes, John, I seem to remember seeing a picture of that tricycle being borrowed by a very famous grandfather who shared a ride with his little grandson, Dwight D. Eisenhower II.
You accept that answer, Mrs. Mulrine?
Yes.
You do. Absolutely $5 richer. That's absolutely right. On his way from Denver to the Republican convention, General Eisenhower spent a day at Fort Sheridan, Illinois, I think it is, with his son's family. And while he was there, he stole a ride in the back of the tricycle. If you look up at our screen there, you can see a picture that appeared in newspapers all over the land, and we want to send a word of thanks to Mrs. John Eisenhower for allowing us to use her child's tricycle on its News to Me. And now a look at our scoring tells us that you have won from the Aluminum Company of America $20. Hope you had fun, too.
I did.
Nice
Thank
to have
you
you
very
with
much.
us. Bye-bye.
Next, with episode 1 of Choose Up Sides, kids prove to Bob Kennedy that spacemen and cowboys are a perfect match. Then it's Match Game. Stay tuned.
And now it's time to meet tonight's eyewitness, a person who actually saw a famous news event take place. And panel, let's see how fast you can uncover the event by cross-examining our guest. You may question for 15 seconds at a time, but when the time bell sounds like this, then the next panelist will take up the questioning. If you beat our eyewitness and guess his news story within 3 minutes, he will receive $50. But if you don't guess the news story within the time limit, he beats you and receives $100. And now it's time to meet tonight's eyewitness, Mr. L.J. Ross. Will you come out, please? Sit down, Mr. Ross. Now, all I want you to do right now, if you will, is to give us the month and the day of the event at which you were an eyewitness.
It was April 20th.
Before we get started, let's let our home audience know the event. But panel, you have the month and the day, April 20th. You should be ready for your questioning. You, Quentin Reynolds, start now.
Did it happen during the 1940s?
No.
And during the 50s?
No.
During the 30s?
No.
During the 20s?
Actually, go back 50s. Go ahead.
During the 50s?
Yes.
Oh, he said yes.
Yes.
Oh, in America?
Yes. All right, Miss Scott.
Was it an unhappy event?
Rather, yes.
It was. It was in the United States?
Yes.
In the eastern seaboard?
No.
West of the Rockies?
No. Mr. Allen.
Did it have anything to do with transportation?
No.
Was it something of a political nature?
No.
Was it a celebration?
No.
Was this a disaster of any kind?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Did it concern a lot of people?
Quite a few.
Did it happen in the South? We haven't established that, have we?
Happened in the Midwest.
Yes.
You don't seem sure about it.
Well, we're reasonable.
Were airplanes involved in this?
No.
People were killed in it?
No, I don't think so.
One.
Just one.
Was it
All
a
right.
social event? A
No.
party?
Social event. No social event, Miss Scott.
Not social.
No.
Political?
No.
Religious?
No.
All right, Mr. Allen.
You said that it was a disaster?
In a way.
In a way.
Did it happen with a mechanical conveyance?
No.
Was it, did it have anything to do with the sports?
No.
All right, Miss
Was
Lee.
this a fight of any kind? I mean, not a sporting fight, but a...
There was a little fighting mixed up in it, I would say. There was a brawl of sorts, I would say. Wasn't there?
A large crowd was there?
Quite a large crowd.
In an open place?
No.
No open place. Mr.
You didn't
Reynolds.
see John Dillinger killed, did you?
No.
that was true.
Some criminal like on the lines of Dillinger?
Well, some.
Babyface Nelson or some of those fellows? It was a Midwestern
All
criminal?
right, Miss Scott.
Well, was it in Chicago?
No.
Kansas City?
No.
And it wasn't in sports?
No.
All right, Mr. Allen.
Was it in Ohio?
No.
Was it in Michigan?
Yes.
And in Michigan, was it at any
Were policemen mixed up in this?
No.
Well, sooner or later.
Was it a thing to do with justice? I mean, was a man killed in the course of justice?
Well, justice had something to do with it. It's a little hard to get... Well, time is up. Sorry. We hung him up on this one. Now, you stay with me for a second. April 20th, 1952, Jackson, Michigan, the prison break that was all over the papers for days and days. Lots of policemen, yes. And now, Mr. Ross, would you be good enough to tell us how you happen to be an eyewitness?
I'm chief steward at the Southern Michigan prison, and we were... had just fed one side breakfast, and it started on the opposite side, which was the south side, and about 200 were in the dining room when this riot broke.
Well, now, what happened to you personally? Did they do anything to you?
Well, in the course of time, I stayed as long as I could. I was mussed up a little, but I got out okay.
Well, you don't look a bit mussed tonight, and thanks very much for coming to see us on this news. Good night. Good to see you. And if you yourself were an eyewitness to an important news event and would like to be in its News to Me, write us a letter telling us about the news story and the part that you played in it, and send this information to It's News to Me, CBS, 485 Madison Avenue, New York, 22 New York. And now, if you look up at our screen, Ray Morgan wants to tell us about another product of Alcoa aluminum that makes summer vacations more fun. Boats of Alcoa aluminum.
Boats of Alcoa aluminum are light, durable, and attractive. For your rowing with maximum safety. For your paddling without effort. For your sailing with complete relaxation. Or for your outboard motorboating pleasure, these light but strong boats of Alcoa aluminum are self-righting and non-sinkable. Aluminum boats are easy to handle, and they require little maintenance. So if you're thinking of paddling back home this summer, ask your boat dealer to show you the variety of boats made of Alcoa aluminum. Aluminum, from the ever-expanding facilities of America's foremost producer, Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America.
And now let's have our next studio contestant on It's News to Me. How are you, sir? Come on in, sit you down. This is Richard J. Slesser. Where are you from?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. Fine. Well, we haven't got too much time. You all ready for your first question?
Yes, sir.
First of all, you'd like to have $20 to play with?
Yes, sir.
There's your $20. First question goes like this. United Nations official was in the news this week because he told a lot of American millionaires where they could go. Could you tell us that story, Mel Allen?
Well, I'll tell it to you very quickly. There's a fellow by the name of Koshnik, I think it was, United Nations delegate from UNESCO, and he told them that they ought to go to Russia. Well, all the millionaires should go there because there they had the lowest income tax rate for millionaires.
They had the lowest income tax rate for millionaires in Russia. Would you accept that answer,
No,
Mr. Slesser?
I wouldn't accept it.
You didn't want to accept that answer. That's too bad, because that's going to cost you $5. Oh, my. That hurts me. I'm awful sorry. Actually, I wouldn't worry about it, though, because I just had a look at the clock, and I see I don't have time to ask you these other three questions, and I know you'll get all the answers right. So, assuming that the answers are all right, there's only one thing we can do is $15 you made on that one, and thanks very much for coming to visit us. Good to see you. That's always fun. And so we wind up proceedings on tonight's session of It's News to Me. We hope the program has proved enjoyable and has sharpened your interest in the news. This is John Daly saying good night for Anna Lee, Mel Allen, Martha Scott, and Quentin Reynolds. And we hope we'll see you all again next week on It's News to Me.
To Me has been presented by Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America. This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Totman production. Produced in association with the CBS Television Network. This is to remind you that Edward R. Murrow and See It Now will be back with Alcoa in the fall, at the same time every Sunday evening. It's News to Me will be seen at a different time in the fall. Be sure to join us next week when Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America, will again present It's News to Me.